Hey folks, I am Priyanshu Bhattacharjee. Welcome to today's podcast, and our today's guest is Avi Dwivedi. He is an XR specialist and the founder of India's one of the biggest XR community, XRDI. So let's start with today's podcast. So, sir, would you like to give your introduction to our viewers?
Surely, Priyanshu, but before we come to introduction, let me first thank you for inviting me on today's podcast. I think this is your first show. And best of luck for upcoming series which you are building at Geek for Geeks. And also, just good luck. I have worked with you in past. I have worked with you on several projects at our community, XRDA. So, yeah, I'm Avi Dwivedi, the founder of XRDA. XRDA is basically Extended Reality Developers of India. And this basically is a community of XR developers. XR means augmented reality, virtual reality. So it's kind of a hub for all this sort of technology, right? So, yeah, this is my introduction basically.
Okay, all right. That's it. Thank you, sir. So, my next question is what actually XRDI does? Like, what is XRDI?
Right. So let me tell you what XRDA exactly do. So we are working in the space of virtual reality and augmented reality democratization, which means we contact with all the colleges and we speak to them about our projects, like what we are building with virtual reality and augmented reality and what could be done. What is virtual reality and augmented reality? How big is the industry? How people are working with this? How anyone can blend their own skills with these technologies and sort of glorify their skills. So we try to democratize the technology as much as possible on these sort of domains. So that is the very aim of XRDI. Right now, we are operating in India. We are trying to connect with more than 50 colleges and start our community at their own hubs, like providing a club or in their colleges and things like that. Apart from that, I have also started the community in Germany, also started the community in South Africa. So these sort of things are also going on.
That's great. That's really great. So, basically, how did you got the idea of starting XRDI? Like, was there any kind of inspiration for you?
Yeah, so I'm working in this virtual reality space for past 5 years and game industry for past 8 years. So what happened is basically I have more than 5 to 8,000 followers I think on LinkedIn. So I get every single day I reach these sort of messages. I get that how can they start with this technology? How can they start with virtual reality or augmented reality? What is the game? What is the game? Development path or how they can start with that, something like that. So what I did is basically I wanted to put all this knowledge at one place so that people could refer to it and I don't have to answer them again and again on this because I really get a lot of messages regarding it. So that's how it started initially, but we also started XR podcast. So XR podcast is basically a place where you might know that these celebrities, like you call, for example, a cricketer a celebrity, or basically a movie star a celebrity. But I want to sort of highlight the work of engineers. I would like to highlight the work of creators in field of XR technology. So I started the podcast called XR Podcast, where I also invite all the people who are in the industry. A lot of great friends who are doing amazing job in this certain domain. So that's how with this vision, the vision of podcast and the vision of community, it started. But now we are doing multiple things, like we are collaborating with several companies on several sort of projects and things like that. We are supporting a lot of companies to grow their businesses with the help of XR.
That's great. That's really great. So, sir, till now, like, how many podcasts have you taken at XRDI?
So far at XRDI, I have did a total of 51 podcasts in past like 2 years. So in these 51 podcasts, there are 36 plus on the YouTube. Rest of the podcasts are there on the Facebook group. Earlier, I used to put there. I still didn't get time to put them on Facebook. Sorry, YouTube back. So there are like 51 podcasts. I'll have stopped working on the podcast because the views were not getting the very work of the guest's time. So I was like, if nobody's watching the podcast, I can put my time on that, but I must not put my guest's time. So that was something like that. So I just trying ki people start getting more engagement with this sort of domains where they can learn more about these technologies.
Yeah, actually, in India, the thing is that many people are not much into XR industry. Like till now, many people doesn't know that what actually AR, VR, MR, and XR is. Especially, they don't know that what actually is AR and VR. And the thing is that we all need to educate them in India. Like in foreign countries, there are people who at least knows that what is the use of VR and AR. So in India, I think there is a need of educating people about AR and VR. I've also attended not some of your, I've attended many of your sessions, and you did a really great job. So yeah, so can you explain to our audience that what actually is AR, VR, MR, and XR, and what is the major difference between all those four fields?
Yeah, surely. So I'll come to the first part of the question as well, where you talked about how India need to understand the very importance of these technologies. But let me first elaborate what are they, right? So VR means virtual reality is basically the very hack of creating your own worlds. The very idea is to create your own world and immerse a very player into it. So we take a person and we build whatever we want to build around it, and we call it a simulation. So whenever we put a person in simulation, our idea is to hack their senses so that they can see whatever we want to show them, they can hear whatever we want to make them hear, or we can also hack their senses, their touch senses, and things like that. So the motion sickness is there, everything is there. So this is virtual reality where you are completely immersed. Augmented reality is very different and very opposite of this. However, the concepts and the technology behind are very same, but the core idea is very different. So in augmented reality, we try to bring out some of the element from this simulation, which is a virtual simulation. We try to bring out some of the elements into a real world. So we took picture of the real world, camera is a good medium to do so. On top of that reality quotient, which is coming from the camera feed, we try to overlay whatever the virtual content we want to enhance. But it is much more challenging because we need to understand what is visible in the augmented reality scene. Whatever that we want to enhance, for example, if I want to put a label on your face, I need to know where your face is or whether a face is there in the screen or not. So first we have to do a lot of AI to put a label on somebody's place, face or anything like that. So all these sort of things, like you must have seen a lot of Instagram filters which do something with faces like bunny ears and things like that. So all these are great example and great applications of AR. But AR could be useful for many other things. Like you must have seen Pokemon Go, but I know a lot of surgeon who superimpose the very anatomy or the very medical imaging of that patient which they are going to operate upon. So suppose you have the very X-ray scans of some patient, and you can overlay on top of the patient while you are operating on them. I have a friend, Safi Ahmed, and he's working on the same thing. Like he deals with this. So he used HoloLens for that to superimpose the imaging of that patient on top of his body. So that is one use case in healthcare. So there are plenty of use case of these technologies, and this could be useful for everything. Like this is not a thing which is just related to games. It's like much more ahead of that, and it's a much broader term. So let me come to what India needs to learn or what India needs to think about virtual reality and augmented reality. So we have as a country we have a tendency of adopting the things when there is no other way to not adopt it, right? So for example, in internet came in India very late. Internet actually came at the same time, but we as an entrepreneur, we as a developer started adopting internet very late. We started building product on top of internet and form of the dot coms very late, right? Now everybody is building their websites. Now they know that for a business it's necessary to have a website, otherwise they're not gonna run the very business efficiently. Similar with apps, we started building apps much more later, but now every product know that they do require an app. So the augmented reality and virtual reality technology is just going to be the next bus which is coming at your or your station, I would say. You have two options: either to chase for the buses which have already left, which are already overcrowded, like application market or basically the web market. So I recently posted a post on that I was hiring a web developer, and there were literally 82 comments on that they want job as a web developer. So there are so many, demand and supply game is there. So there are so many developers in comparison to jobs now. So if I talk about virtual reality and augmented reality technology, this is the bus which is still empty, and you can pretty much catch, and it is on the verge to come to your station. So yeah, that is
Yeah, actually,
my perspective.
yeah, the what I think is that the XR industry is going to get a boom by 2025. Like in 2017, not many people knew about AR, VR, and XR and MR. But now in 2021 and 2020 also, people got a good exposure on what actually XR is. So how can anybody start with this XR, AR, VR, MR, and XR field?
You said it very correctly that the market is going to boom with this sort of content, with this sort of experiences. And the reason is the bigger market players already know about it, and they are already taking advantage of it. Whether you talk about Facebook, whether you talk about Microsoft, they are already working on these sort of products. Even in 2022, Apple's headset is expected to come, and once that comes, it's going to be a mass appeal product, and then thousands of companies gonna come in this hardware industry as well. They're gonna produce their own products to match Apple quality or whatever you want to say. It's going to be the next trend in 2022. So once the Apple releases their Apple virtual reality headgears, it's going to be again in all the sort of discussions. So obviously, same with the Geos product as well. Once they release their headset, which is also on the verge of coming, it's also going to be a big debate or big sensation of sort of technology. So yeah, you are very correct about that. If I have to give a number, I would say by the year 2027, the mobile phones would not be that much. We will more rely on these sort of glasses which will sit on your face by the year 2027, and mobile phones will be pretty much useless at that time, which will basically be like a brick which you will carry on your in your pockets. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what is your other question again?
yeah. So how can anybody start with this field? Before that, I want to ask that is this field too competitive like other fields, like in web development? There are tons and tons of people who are getting into it, and Android development also. So
Hmm.
it is a really competitive market. One will get a job and one will not. The market is something like that. Is the same thing applies in AR, VR, MR, and XR?
So what is happening in those spaces, that we are battling with supply and demand? It basically means all the existing businesses already have their websites and already have their applications. So they already either do not require new applications. They only require that once a year or something like that. So their supply is being down, I would the new products in terms of applications and I would say websites. There are the next thing is automation, which is reducing, which is a problem in that industries. So pretty much everything in websites now you can automate, or at least so whatever the job was there in back in 10 years back, I would say right now that job is either the price of that job is reduced to less than a quarter, or the entire job is removed because of automation. And in future we will all see all the same results with a lot of things which are not possible without a developer will be able to do without any developer intervention, with the help of AI and things like that. So GPT-3 is a great example. It can write code now. So of course, AI is being writing code for years, but now it's writing so much better. So it's hard to fight automation, I would say. So now things which are very very complicated, or if not complicated, they are very very customization, which means you have to sit on it and give it very custom commands to perform at that specifics, like uh, AI itself, and virtual reality and quantum computing. These are the things which cannot be automated for like next 10 years. So these are the next markets, and these are the next the future jobs.
Okay. Yeah, actually, the market is booming, and surely in future it would rise at at its peak. So, yeah, this field, I also think that this field has the potential. Even this field will change the whole technology field. Like, this is the future technology that we are trying to harness. Like, we are harnessing too, but the thing is that AR is possible. Like, with our mobile
Yep.
phones only we can do AR, but the thing that is making VR not possible in India, I can't say that it is not possible, but it is hard to buy because the VR devices that are being imported from foreign countries are really at, at a high price. Like, previously, when I saw that Oculus Quest 2 might cost around 20 to 22,000, but in Amazon it's around 40 to 50,000. So yeah, I guess that's also a reason why people are not actually buying virtual reality devices, and also don't uh, getting much interested into it.
Hmm.
And also there's
that
another
that problem is also being solved by major companies like
yeah.
Facebook. They are subsidizing on the headset pretty much, and similar with in India, it's similar with Jio as well. They are also going to come up with some sort of plans which will be very affordable, I would say. These are the problems which are being taken care by the hardware manufacturers. I would like to say that in India, there is one more thing which seems impossible, which is like a career in gaming. But now you see a lot of people making their career in gaming. That also is a very, I would say, capital intensive career, because you require the streaming devices, you require the video card, you require all sort of streaming devices. There are plenty of those. You require a good mic, you require a very good computer, which costs like more than a lakh or something, right? Because you require heavy graphic card, you
Yeah.
require all sort of peak performing hardware. So now in India, the peak hardware is available in less than 40,000. So you can pretty much buy the Facebook Quest 2, and that is a very affordable, I would say. Even you can buy that even less than a gaming laptop. So I think it's becoming less and less relevant as a problem now. So I'm very hopeful that what we're gonna build on virtual reality. I don't want India to leave behind like we did at the time of apps, like we did at the time of websites. I want India to become the nation which could be considered as the capital of virtual reality and augmented reality. So
Yeah.
I'm just trying to generate more and more developers who are like going to take these places, because
If
by the year 2030 it's going to become a 1.5 trillion dollar economy. So I want Indians to take part of these big chunk.
Yeah, actually, even I want that India doesn't like lag behind in the race of virtual reality and augmented reality, because this is a technology that everyone should at least try out. If they at
Yep.
least try out, they should not tell that I haven't tried it out, but then also I don't have interest. First, they should try out. If they are not having interest, no problem. But at least they should try it out. Yeah,
Of course.
even if somebody is not having a good hardware, they can at least develop software for augmented reality devices, like with Unity game engine. Unreal is really resource taker, but Unity works pretty well in 4 GB RAM systems. So they can try
Yep.
that out too. Yeah, so I don't think system should be any kind of issue for like developing AR/VR software. Yeah, at some extent it might become a problem because of high graphics. The laptop or computer should not be able to render them, but yeah, at a certain level, I think people can try out virtual reality and augmented reality.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, sir, my question is that how can anyone start with these fields? Like, and what should they start first? Like augmented reality, virtual reality, or mixed reality, or extended reality? What should they start with?
It depends what they specifically are. So I don't say that become a developer overnight and start building your own virtual reality experiences and things like that. Just take interest that what sort of skill you have. If you are a very good artist, if you are a very good storyteller, if you are a very good writer, if you are a very good, I would say, uh, there are plenty of jobs. Like there are even jobs of lighting experts, things like that. So if you understand a very good amount of physics, you can hop on into graphic development, where you will be dealing with how light behaves on certain objects, or how certain texture behaves, or how particle systems behave, or how fluids behave. So there are plenty of things. So whatever your plus point is, whatever you are good at. For example, if you are good at coding, then of course, starting with virtual reality game development or virtual reality simulation development or whatever is a good option for you. But if you are for example, if you are a very good uh, fluid artist, I'm sure there are plenty of ways you can play a fluid inside virtual reality and make it look like magical, because people are doing that. People are dancing in virtual realities. I have a friend, Rosie Summers, and she does amazing art in virtual reality. So her artwork is sort of a masterpiece. She's been on my podcast, and yeah, her art is mesmerizing. So
Yeah, I
whatever
have
the
also
skill
seen.
you have, you should take advantage and blend it with virtual reality. And in that process of blending and finding your advantages, and finding ways to blend it with virtual reality, I would consider watching my one of the series called XR Masterclass by me, where you can find all the ways that how to start with that. And I'll go through all the software you require to go to start the virtual reality, or what sort of place is there for you. So for example, if you want to create only just the filters like Instagram filters or something like that, there's a good market of that as well. You can do it using that 7-day work series. So that is a 7-day workshop available for free. I'm going to also talking with some great institutions where I'm going to give this same lecture again, but with updated resources. So I'm talking to two colleges actually, IIT Kharagpur and IIT Bombay both. So there will be I'll be hosting these sessions. So yeah, we'll probably do it very soon. So on these masterclass, these are completely available for free, and these are the latest content on virtual reality. These are completely, I would say, the newest one. So you can pretty much start with them.
Yeah, that's actually really great. Like you are teaching people for free to get started with augmented and virtual reality. That is really great. That would actually help India to get educated around augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality, and extended reality for sure. So, so now many people, even I had, when I started initially with augmented and virtual reality, I had a question that which tool should I use to design and develop extended reality, like augmented reality, virtual reality, AMR, then exact software. So which tool should I use?
All right. So once you figure out your plus points, like what is my plus point, what kind of person I am, what I do, right? Once you figure out all those stuff, I'm looking at that way because there's like a thunderstorm going on there. Uh, so whenever you're gonna figure out all those things, after that, your job is to basically figure out your tool, and there are plenty of those. So plenty of those tools are free. Plenty of those tools are paid on very cheap. You can pretty much afford the subscription. So there are on the perspective of art, there are tools like Photoshop, of course, the Illustrator. There are Adobe XD, which you can use for graphic design, which is very useful in virtual reality, augmented reality, all this stuff. If you want to do 3D development, 3D graphics, you can pick a tool like Maya, Max, Blender, whatever suits you, whatever based on your requirement and intensity of your work, or whatever your vision is. You can pick a tool around that. If you are a very good animator or something, you can find tools related to that as well. There are plenty of plugins which you require within Blender or within Max to do very good animations. But if you also want to, if you are a very good programmer and you want to use your skills in there are plenty of game engines, and game engines are it sounds like game engines are only for games, but they produce all sort of scientific simulation. They produce all sort of they are for creating 3D graphics, giving life to 3D graphics, programming those behaviors into those 3D characters and things like that. So
Yeah.
to do so, there are three good options. I would say you can choose Unity, which is the most popular one in India. All my series are also based on Unity, but I'm also going to cover Unreal Engine someday. So Unreal is of course the second one. In India, there's a very few amount of developers of there in Unreal. It's hard to get Unreal developers. It's hard to get Unreal mentors as well. There are like 80 people community I know which is working in Unreal, but they are like top best of the best. In virtual production, you use a lot of Unreal. So yeah. Yeah. Apart from that, CryEngine is a very good option. Apart from that, there is Amazon's Lambert Yard and things like that. So there are plenty of game engines which you can use to create these sort of experiences in virtual reality. If you want to create filters, Instagram filters and things like that, I would recommend starting with Spark AR. That is a beautiful tool, and you don't even have to code to start with Spark AR. So if you can do basic level of graphics, you can make whatever the filters or whatever the things you want to make. Facebook has made it very easy.
Yeah. It's like in comparison to Lens Studio, Spark Air is really easy for a beginner to grasp. Like, yeah, it's
Yep.
really easy. And also, Lens Studio requires a lot of like uh, good hardware, but Spark
Lens
Studio,
Studio is also very good. I must say that is also very good. But if there is of course, there's a learning curve. You need to
yeah,
know a lot of basics to start with that. But in Spark AR, the threshold is a little low. So both does the same job, but for different platforms. So whatever your platform is, you can choose that. If you like Snapchat, go with Lens Studio. If you like the Facebook, like Instagram and Facebook, go for Spark AR.
yeah. Even like I also recommend my friends that if they want to start with augmented reality and virtual reality, they should go for Unity Engine first because it is really easy to understand. Unreal sometimes becomes hectic for a beginner to learn. Like it has multiple things. Like within the light component, there are 10 subcomponents. Then within those 10 subcomponents, there are more 10 subcomponents. So that becomes
So
really
if
hectic.
you were a designer, you would have said opposite. You would have said that go with Unreal. Unity is gonna be very hectic,
Yeah,
right? So it depends from which background you're coming. If you are more of a programmer, go with Unity. You'll find that easy. If you are more of a designer or creative perspective, if you have that, go with Unreal. So yeah,
Unity
it's
is
like
basically pretty much straightforward. It has all the options in front of you. You don't need to find all of them. Like all are displayed in front of you. So that also becomes
mm,
really easy for a beginner to learn. like where Unreal Engine becomes a bit hard for a beginner to learn. But yeah, anybody can learn it. It's not like that they can't learn. Anybody can learn it. Just the learning curves are different. Even for higher
Uh,
graphics, people,
once
yeah,
once I get the Unreal series as well, a lot of people are requesting for that. I know, but I'm just not getting any time to do that.
yeah,
A lot of paid platforms also recommended me to do some sort of collaboration or something to do these sort of series. But I said, if it's not going to be free for students, I'm sorry, I won't be able to do it. Uh, so it has to be free. So yeah, uh, it's very hard to do. But once I find very good collaboration where I could find good great students willing to learn Unreal Engine, I would definitely start making those tutorials.
yeah. Like even I've also seen people that like in the starting they are really confused. Like they try out different engines. They first go with Unity, then Unreal, then CryEngine, then Godot. Like Godot is also doing a great job in the game development field. It's also kind of coming in the AR VR field. So I guess it can
Yep.
also be in the like top 10 game engines for developing AR VR applications. Currently, I think there are only three they are booming that are booming the market for AR VR development.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what like everybody should choose his or her tool by looking into their field, right?
Right.
Yeah. So my next question is that like what do you think how is the growth of XR in India happening? Like in these several years, what you have seen that how the growth is happening in India of
It's
XR.
very fast. It's very fast, I would say. In whole over world, the growth of XR is immense. Even in 2020, we gained a lot of boost in terms of whether it's algorithm, whether it's AI, whether it's XR, or I believe all sort of tech sectors, we saw immense growth in this 2020 years because we had a hell lot of time to invent something and hell lot of need to invent something, which gives us a boost in terms of technology. So yeah, XR was no different, and in XR as well, we did a lot of progress in this past year. So the biggest example of that is the collaboration tool. Of course, my favorite collaboration tool is there, and it's called Spatial.io. Spatial is a beautiful tool in virtual reality, augmented reality, to collaborate and work with your teams in virtual reality. But there are so many other competitors which came up with similar tools, including Microsoft Mesh. Microsoft Mesh acquired Altspace VR, which is a beautiful platform to host events. And I attended an event from Pitbull on that event. So even I did several events on that. I did one for educators in VR. So there are plenty of events. You can enjoy those events. And the beauty of it is you can attend those events even from a computer. So when you attend from a computer, you don't get those interactions and things. But yeah, you can do pretty much all the things on your 2D screens as well. So which is a blend of 2D plus 3D and similar platforms for all these two. Every single I would say global event happened in 3D this time. So which is a very great I would say plugin for 3D, or I would say which is a very great publicity for 3D, because I attended the Thai Global Summit and everything was 3D there. So yeah, now everywhere, every event, everything is converted on top of this virtual worlds. So of course, this industry is booming in this after this year. It's going to be really up.
Yeah, even when I make people understand that what actually virtual reality is, what I basically do is I don't go for those definitions. People actually don't understand that what actually the definition is. What I say is, first of all, close your eyes and think that you are playing your favorite game or your favorite anything you are playing on your computer, but with your keyboard and your screen. Okay, after telling that, now close your eyes again and think that you are present in that game by yourself. You are present in that virtual world. So I guess that also gives a bit feeling of what actually virtual reality can do, like how it feels to be in virtual reality. So
Right,
yeah,
of course. So a lot of people say that, oh, I have seen virtual reality, I have seen those games, and actually, the screen, the 2D screen on which you are watching the content, does not do any justice to the content. All right.
yeah,
So you guys might have seen the videos in which people are falling. Vox did a very good video on that. People are falling on top of everything, like, and old people are like crazy on virtual reality. So it's a fun
yeah,
experiment. I did it with my dad, with my mom, and they are like super scary inside virtual reality. They are like super unhabitual with that platform. So, however, yeah, you find it very interesting. So when you are actually in there, yeah, of course, it is cartoonish, and or it is art style which is like, of course, far away from real. But when you are in there, your brain feels that everything is real. The stakes
yeah,
are high. When you collide with some sort of wall or something in virtual reality, you just fall in real world.
yeah.
So it happens with everyone, right?
Yeah, it
So
gives the
it's
feeling
an
that you are.
experience,
Yeah,
and you cannot experience things from, I would say, on a screen. It's like watching a Goa sort of movie and feeling like, yes, yeah, I have seen Goa.
yeah,
I don't have to go at Goa or beaches or anything, right?
yeah. Even
So
with
something like that.
yeah, even with virtual reality, like in these lockdown times, people what can do is by wearing a virtual reality headset, they can visit any part of the world. So virtual reality plays a good role in everything, like in education too. Like many institutions are applying virtual reality, augmented reality technologies their in their institution to teach students. And I think that is a really great initiative. Like even what happens in my case, I see the pictures in a book. I really get bored because they are just pictures. They don't explain anything. I don't like those pictures. So I just think that what if our school starts applying augmented and virtual reality? Currently, virtual reality is not possible because in a school there are more than 4,000 students, and the headsets are really costly at this time. Maybe in future they would be really cost really less, but at this time they are costly. So at least they can implement the augmented reality technology. Even in India, in Bihar, I guess there's a school, Bihar Patna, who applied augmented reality in their institution for teaching students. So I guess teaching visually, like in 3D, will make students understand the concept more easily without like then teaching them from the book. Like even theoretical makes people confused. Doing it practically or viewing it practically makes us understand that how that thing is exactly working. And I think doing it practically is a really good approach for learning anything.
First, if you look at, I mean, some of my podcasts, a lot of great friend of mine are doing the same thing. They are creating their application, their products in education sector, so virtual education sector. So, like, I would like to mention Avidia Labs. I would like to mention Infusory. They have their great products in this domain of virtual reality education. There is Photon VR, which is doing excellent job in converting education into a creative, fun way of learning. So, of course, the edtech sector is booming with the implementation of virtual reality and augmented reality both.
Yeah. Even I think if GeoGlass gets a good success, it would revolutionize how India uses VR. It will, I think, it will revolutionize. Sorry for that. Uh, it would totally change the market of how India views VR. Like currently, not many people are able to buy the device. Even I can't buy that device currently. But I think if the GeoGlass releases at a really low cost, then people, I think, they can buy the device and experience that how actually VR is. Now in today's time, maybe not markerless, people can experience marker-based VR. Even there are SDKs like Equal XR who are like providing markerless support for non-AR code devices. So I guess people can experience AR. They should try. Yeah, VR has an exception, like the devices are being costly, but they should try out at least AR. Like it at least amuses me. Like I really like the field of AR and VR. Like how potential it has, how it can grow in uh, future. Yeah.
From the perspective of a developer and a designer of products, I would say when we consider technologies at this bumbo jumbo words like markerless and things like that, so we are in fact confusing our customers and putting them away from the technologies. Whenever they're going to try it, they're going to feel like, okay, I'm missing a lot. So take a look at this mobile phone, for example. So this is a masterpiece of technology. It uses our 100 plus years of science achievements, and because of that, this phone is possible. Of course, it uses a microprocessor. It uses infrared and radio wave signal processing and things like that. So it's right away communicating with satellites when you are making a call. But a normal person does not have to understand these complexities when he's making a call. No matter whoever he is, he has to be able to make a call to his loved ones, and that experience should be smooth. So as a developer or creator of a product, our job is to make that experience smooth and intuitive. So whenever you create something, a product or anything, make sure it's as intuitive as possible. People took it and they just start using it without caring about how it's going to work, like what are the very rules of this world. So that's with that mind or with that perspective, we design our virtual reality environments, and we call it spatial computing. Like for example, if I have to interact with this mobile, I have to interact with my one finger. Otherwise, it will not work. Like it will not work. It will hardly work with voice. It will hardly work with other sort of interactions. Like if I have to interact with my computer, I have to use a mouse and things like that, which are completely not natural. Like, how do you interact with the natural objects? Like you you raise your hand, you pick some object, and that object is there in your hand. You leave it, and it falls. Things like that. So when we create the virtual reality experiences, the same thing happens. You can grab something, you can pick it up, you can start using it as the way you use it in natural environment. It's not like learning a very new environment on top of what you want to learn what you want to learn, right? So it's like reducing the complexity of that entire learning process. So that is what spatial computing is. We are creating the three-dimensional spaces, these virtual spaces where you can basically create anything and make any learning procedure easy. So that is the entire goal of virtual reality.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. And actually, the thing is that people need to understand that how VR and AR is changing the future technology. Like I have my friends who say that what's AR and VR is useless. App development, game development is the only field. So that's where I get a bit like sad that they actually don't know that what actually this field can do, what actually this field is. They basically like listen to others, or they don't even use that. They just give their perspective, like what actually it is. They should at least try that first. And the thing is that people should understand that without trying anything, they can't like say that what actually that thing does, right?
Of course. So our entire education system is constructed in a manner that it supports an assembly line, I would say. So you get into a college, you get into a school first, get some sort of marks based on that, you get some sort of college based on that, you get some sort of job based on that, you get some sort of life, right? And this is the way society wants you to work, right? But what happens when you are very creative? What happens when you are very different, and you just don't fit in this system? So then you feel like very, very awkward expressing your own feelings, that how people going to think about it, because what I want to do is very different than what others are doing. But actually, the innovators are always innovators because they are doing something different. Of course, of course, doing what everybody is doing is running the society and running the entire world. Because without that, the world is not going to function. But because of the people who going to innovate, the people who going to create, because of them, you create new technologies. You create a mobile phone. You create wireless technologies. You create things like which are not exactly possible. So you either have the option to of course choose the very systematic way and become someone who's going to replicate or try to optimize things in a certain way, or become an innovator, or become someone who's going to create new things, who's going to create new mode of communicating, who's going to create new modes of interacting with this new sort of technology. It's up to you. It's not like they support this. It's like they are this. They People are like that. People, you cannot change that. There's not everyone made for adopting or trying new things. There are very few people who gonna try new things. A lot of other people only supports, or only I would say want to stay in a very secure or very I would say comforting environment, and that you can call it a comfort zone, and they don't want to leave, and that is best for them. So it's only for people who really want to explore now, at least for next 5 years. After that, it's also going to be a very comfortable place to be in, and it's going to be a very comfortable or regular job. And then people around you gonna say, in college is gonna say, okay, I'm gonna do virtual reality because that is everybody is doing. So if of course you're gonna miss the early mover advantage, but if that is the way you want to go, then of course you can do it. Go for the safe job.
Yeah, I agree with you. Totally agree. And one of the things that you said previously, that every developer and designer should, while developing some product, they should think like that they are the user. I also agree with that thing, like with that talk, because when we are developing something, we always had to remember that how a user is going to interact. We can develop anything. We can develop a complicated system too. That won't be a big problem. But the thing is that we always need to keep in mind, it can be in any other field too, not actually in AR, VR. This thing applies in Android, game, web, even in artificial intelligence, all of the fields that are there. We, as a designer and developer, we always need to keep in mind that how the user is going to interact with it. The user won't get into the learning of it. What he would actually do, he would install that software or app in his or her mobile or laptop. After that, he will start using it. He won't spend its time learning that thing, right? So as a developer, as a developer and designer, we actually should think as an user. Like, we are the user who are going to use the app, and we should make the design, the development according to them, right?
Of course. So there's a rule called think from one step ahead. Okay. So for example, there is always a hierarchy. I'm talking to you, then there is going to be a hierarchy. So for example, you are an interviewer, I'm an interviewee, and I have to basically answer based on whatever your perspective is or whatever your question is. So I have to first understand what is your question at the first place. To talk it in some different perspectives, let's take an example of a teacher and a student. So teacher might be saying something or whatever. Teacher is whenever the teacher is expecting an answer, the student has to first take care of that. What is the expectation of teacher? What sort of answer is gonna get me the greatest marks or whatever, right? Of course.
Yeah.
So you first have to understand the input modes. What are the input modes of a hierarchy above you? So whoever you are talking to, whether it's your parents, whatever your client is, whoever it is, the user of your application gonna be, you have to think from one level ahead. So you have to think from their perspective that what are their expectations from this. Okay. So I know I have a lot of dreams. I know I want to create certain things, but I need to understand the data. I need to understand the analytics. I need to see the numbers and then figure out that, okay, how things gonna work in this space, how things work in practical world. Okay. Without that, everything is gonna fall apart. So that is a very essential thing which you must understand.
Yeah, right. So the last thing I would like to ask that what advice do you give to the beginners who are going to start with XR field?
All right. So, yeah, the advice, whenever a developer builds something, okay, for example, if I start building a mobile phone or if I start building anything, right, let's take a mobile phone. So I don't have to care about what mobile phones of now can do, right? Because the time I'm going to take in building a mobile phone, let's say it's 3 years. So I have to take care about, okay, what's going to be my competition in next 3 years? Because when my mobile phone is going to end up end the development process and it's actually going to be in market, if I create a mobile phone which is still supporting the 2021 hardware and 2021 specs, it's going to be obsolete. It's going to be useless because it's old. Of course, you created the best smartphone of 2020. You started created with the vision of creating the best smartphone of 2021, and you started working on it. But by the end of 2023, when the mobile phone gonna come in the market, it's already old because it's not 2021 anymore. Similar with these technologies. So, of course, you are learning and understanding a lot of things, and you're going to come up with some solutions and you think, okay, it's good. I can live my entire life on this particular thing. But technologies get old and technologies, you have to keep evolving yourself in terms of when you are a person who's working with technologies. So if you're not going to do that, you're going to be old. So first tip, just make sure that what's going to come after 3 years or 4 years. So plan ahead. And then even after you planned ahead, keep evolving yourself because just planning ahead is not enough. You have to keep evolving on that path as well. Right. So that is one thing I would love to say.
Yeah, even like in developers' life, if learning should be there. It shouldn't be like you have learned up to this and you should stop that what you have learned. Like it's not the only thing that is making you a developer. The main thing that is the is with will be with the developer is their learning. Like if they stop learning, their knowledge would be obsolete at some point. So learning, they should not stop learning. Like they should not get outdated. So yeah,
Of course. Yeah.
yeah,
So thanks, Pianshu, for hosting me. And also would love to thanks Mr. Sandeep Jain, who created Geeks for Geeks. And basically, it's a very great community and it's a very great place for beginners and people who are in their colleges to learn and compete with each other, understand their own perspectives in the industry and things like that. So it's a very great platform and wish you guys great luck. Have a great time.
thank you, sir. So I guess after watching this podcast, people would actually get starting interest in this field and would explore this field.
Of course.
I'm sure they will gain a lot of knowledge from this podcast. Even I have gained a lot of knowledge from you through this podcast.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you,
know
sir.
my camera is shaky because window is open and there's a lot of storm coming, but I'm sure people are going to find this interesting. So yeah, have a great time, man. And whoever's going to watch it, enjoy the life full on and yeah, keep learning.
Thank you, sir.